Going into tonight's show, we always know a few things about what's going on in NXT. We know where the stories are going. We know a couple of matches we're going to get. This week specifically, we knew we were going to get an amazing main event. What we didn't know was that this was actually sneakily a go-home show. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your NXT review for June 24th, 2020. How you doing? How you doing? We're still in shitty times, and especially this week, if you're a wrestling fan, we're in really shitty times. I'm not getting into it here because this was a good show. This is going to be a good, positive review, but other than that, you know, COVID's a thing. We're all still in hibernation, pretty much. I finally got a haircut, so that's something. For those of you listening in an audio platform, that's not going to mean a goddamn thing. But it doesn't mean the world's not still on pause. Doesn't mean I'm still not sending out all the well wishes in the world to every single last one of you, no matter who you are, where you are, etc. Unless you're a shitty person. Oh yes, but we'll do the house cleaning first, as we always do. For those of you that have been following the Flix Fix movie series that Kristen and I have been doing, go back to the video I re-released this past Tuesday. It actually wasn't a movie review. It is a re-upload of mine and Kristen's reaction to 2019's San Diego Comic-Con, specifically the Hall H panel where they revealed everything for Phase 4. Now, I thought twice about re-uploading this. I was like, okay, well, it's a convention from last year, but all the stuff that they announced at San Diego Comic-Con hasn't happened yet because, you know, the big worldwide catastrophe that's going on right now. We are getting Black Widow at the end of the year, I think. It might be going straight to Disney Plus. That's the rumor. But it meant everything was still relevant. So our reactions to that, it is long. I will warn you, it's about 2.5 hours because we're talking about 16 or 17 different shows and movies and whatnot. But it is a lot of fun, and it is kind of cool to get our immediate reactions back then and sort of laugh at some of our reactions now when I know a little bit more about the shows that are coming up. And I mean, if nothing else, you can see that Marvel is still on a track, whereas DC is a mess, and that could be a whole separate video, could it not? But it is a lot of fun. We will be concluding the Alien trilogy, hopefully this coming Tuesday, if we get a chance to record this weekend. We will be concluding that with Alien 3, and then moving on to our next trilogy, which is going to be really good. Just a quick note for those of you that are watching me in or listening to me in an audio platform. You want to find me on YouTube, look up Spaz Phoenix on YouTube. If you are watching me in video form right now and you see the pretty sexy face in the gimmick hat, you want to look for me in an audio platform. I don't know why I do the dab thing with the hat. That just became a thing as soon as the gimmick hat became a thing. Again, for those of you listening in audio, that doesn't mean anything. But if you are watching me in video form, you want to find me in a podcast form instead, please do go to any of your favorite podcast platforms and search Spaz Phoenix Podcast. You will find everything I do here. I am potentially cooking up a little something for Canada Day, although that's, you know, 7 days away, and I haven't given myself any time at all. So if I get it out, I get it out. If I don't, I don't. Follow me on Facebook, follow me on Facebook groups, whatever you want to call it, by searching Spaz Phoenix Podcast. Follow me on Twitter, @SpazPhoenix1, Instagram, @SpazPhoenix, and yeah, put my name into Google, except don't, because there's a really bad screen cap of me that's been floating around for a couple of years now, and that's still the #1 search result. So that's super fun, isn't it? You're all gonna do it now, aren't you? That's fine and wonderful. Let's talk about this week's episode of NXT, because we knew going into this week's episode of NXT, regardless of anything else, we were going to get that triple threat match for the North American Championship. Not only for the North American Championship, but also for a chance to face Adam Cole in 2 weeks, winner take all. It's good. So anything else that's going to happen in the middle is going to be fine. It's going to serve its purposes and whatnot. And the NXT Women's Division is absolutely on fire. Fight me on that if you don't agree. But we also knew we were going to get Grimes versus Priest, which you guys know I cannot keep finding new ways to tell you how much I don't care about Cameron Grimes. Now, the upshot of all this is, in the wake of certain social movements, I'll just say. The Problematic Dream wasn't on NXT this week, so that's good. He potentially actually did stuff rather than just saying silly things on a podcast and costing himself his job. Moving on. I'm not getting into that. That could be a whole other... really, really, really trying to be a good person. Anyways, my point being, Problematic Dream is off the show, and if Problematic Dream is off the show and my trade-off is I gotta put up with Cameron Grimes on my TV for a little bit, that's okay. We show... Right at the beginning of the show, we didn't get the recap thing that they usually do from the week before. So that was kind of off-putting. We sort of started the show a bit dry, cutting to activities that happened in the back an hour ago. And it was not even an attack. It was the aftermath of an attack where we can clearly see Cameron Grimes running away. Damian Priest has been attacked. Damian Priest fucked up his back last week and sold it really well, so I don't know why they had to do an additional attack this week. He had that catastrophic fall onto the steps at the pay-per-view. He then tweaked that back again last week, and I don't know why we need to keep coming up with reasons why his back hurts, because we know why his back hurts. But Grimes comes out to the ring and starts bragging, and it's really lame and kind of cut and paste. When Grimes tries to joke around, and I'm not just making this joke because of the accents and all that sort of thing, far be it from me to make fun of anybody's accent, but because apparently I have one. Apparently I have a Canadian accent. I'm from Canada. Moving on. But he sounds like he's trying to have like the cocky AJ Styles kind of humor, and AJ Styles' sense of humor, and this is going off on a tangent here, is sort of like an intentional dorkiness, and Cameron Grimes just ain't pulling it off. The whole promo is lame. He wants the referee to raise his hand because that's what heels do. Priest fights his way out from the back, and obviously he was being seen to by medical staff in the video that we saw a moment ago. So for Morrow on commentary to be like, well, like, if the doctors say it's okay, then we can have a match. He comes out anyways. There's a quick beatdown. The match starts. There's a series of shots by Priest. A mudhole stomp in the corner. Shots in the back by Grimes. Boot by Priest. A back elbow by Priest. Grimes works on the back some more and some more and some more. It's way less than I want to see for Damian Priest. It really is. We get that weird, like, modified choke bomb thing that Priest does. We get a spear into the apron by Grimes after he tries to, like, fuck off and leave the match. We have a cave-in on the floor. We have a cave-in in the ring. And Grimes gets another victory that he doesn't deserve, and I don't want to spend any more time on this. In the back, we see an interview with Rhea Ripley talking to somebody that's interviewing her, obviously, and they ask her, you know, after what happened last week with Io Shirai putting Sasha Banks and Bayley in their place and proclaiming it to be her NXT, which it is. She's got the gold to prove it. Rhea Ripley sort of puts a nod to Io Shirai and that sort of thing. It's sort of a begrudging respect, like, yeah, you got it. And we've done this before. I mean, before we did it, it was with Bianca Belair, and it was really lame, but the whole, like, you don't even go here type thing. But in this case, it was Sasha Banks and Bayley, like, being the heroes of their own conquering story, coming back to the old stomping grounds, and it was shit, to say the least. You know, NXT legends Sasha Banks and Bayley, fuck off. Sasha is trash, and Bayley is really, really lame. Just stop. Robert Stone tries once again to sign her to the Robert Stone brand, which is wonderful. Him being this desperate, I can't even think of his name right now, the really, really lame lawyer on The Simpsons that just keeps on trying to get jobs and nobody really wants to hire him. It's kind of what Robert Stone is doing right now. Tries to sign her to the brand. His selling pitch is like, look, well, Aaliyah just came and joined my brand. That's fine. Was right. And she picks up Robert Stone again and puts him in the bin again. I want this to be, and I said this, I think last week, and I said it this week on Twitter, I want this to be a weekly thing. I want this to be a weekly thing between Rhea Ripley and Robert Stone. Every week, he tries to be a dork. She puts him in the bin. It's good. But Aaliyah comes out, and she's feeling herself for but I love Aaliyah. You guys know this, my hometown girl and all that. But she's sort of feeling herself. She wants to defend her manager because she finally convinced him to be her manager after projectile vomiting on Xia Li last week and helping her get a win. And she gets herself all riled up and bitch slaps Rhea Ripley. And the beautiful thing of all this is the big charge, the big adrenaline, the slap, and then the immediate look on Aaliyah's face where it's like, I just fucked up. And it's like, well, you earned yourself a spot in my ring tonight, so we're going to get Aaliyah versus Rhea Ripley later on. That doesn't hurt my feelings in the slightest. We see a replay of Santos Escobar and company. I still wish Joaquin Wilde was doing something better than this, but that's fine. Santos Escobar and his cronies putting Drake Maverick through the table last week. Jake Atlas escorting him out to the ambulance, etc. Which leads us to Santos Escobar taking on Jake Atlas in a non-title match. Tonight, there's a collar and elbow tie-up, right hands by... This is an absolute... Even though Escobar is the brand new champion, and they should be sort of building that up a little bit, this whole match, while I am still not... I don't know what to think about Jake Atlas as a character, because his character right now is, I'm just a nice guy, and I'm just happy to be here, and I'm going to stick up for all the other nice guys. And that's not a character I can get into. The guy's great in the ring. He's got that cool cartwheel top rope DDT thing that he does. Again, like a lot of other people, I won't take anything away from him in the ring, and this was a great showcase for that. And I don't want to be misconstrued on that. I just want a reason to care. And if your gimmick right now is that you're Drake Maverick's defender, you're Drake Maverick's buddy, that ain't it, chief, as they say. Chops by Atlas, body shots in the corner, seated side headlock by Atlas and a rolling arm drag, mudhole stomps by Atlas, and some chops, boots, and strikes by Escobar. Escobar tackles Atlas off the apron. This was brilliant, because Escobar goes out to the apron area to sort of take out the distraction of Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza, but Escobar tackles him off the apron. He goes kitty corner across, slams into the plexiglass that's around the ringside area. Now, the plexiglass, I've said this for weeks and weeks and weeks now, it is an interesting look. It does sort of make it look like a hockey arena. It doesn't always look the greatest, especially when you're trying to film certain things and there's obviously reflection of light, etc. But they have integrated the plexiglass into being just another part of the ring area that they can use. It is becoming as commonplace as putting somebody into the ring post. And if that's going to be a new sort of standard part of the ringside area, I should say, it's like the steps, it's like the turnbuckles, it's like the turnbuckle bolts, it's like putting somebody into the apron, it's like putting somebody into the guardrail, except the guardrail's taller and part of it's clear now. I really like that they're not avoiding it. I really like that they're not acting like nothing's changed. They're not pretending that it's not there, because we don't need our intelligence insulted. And, you know, they actually have dividers between them and their fake crowd, unlike another company that I could mention. But yeah, he takes this wicked ricochet shot into the plexiglass as we go to the commercial break. Also, the plexiglass does immediately become sort of undercut when the show opens and everybody's trying to make as much noise as they can. They're not a huge crowd, so the applause aren't going to be huge, but everybody's banging on the glass. Now, one thing about the current COVID situation that we're in is, like, don't touch things other people have touched. Constantly, you know, sanitize things and don't be touching each other. Now, I know that's an illusion on TV, but everybody's touching that glass. And you can, and by midway through the show, you can see it. That's the problem with it being glass. And I'm being really, really pedantic, and it doesn't really matter because they're not socially distancing in the back anyway. We've all seen everybody's Instagram, but it's just as a visual thing, as a thing that's right in your face. I always used to say to you guys, visual is visceral, and it makes the difference. And if they're putting the plexi up to say, look at how good we are, look at all these things we're putting in place, then don't immediately undercut it. Now, I've seen some dirt sheet headlines that I haven't actually read yet that are reporting that some people, including current wrestlers in the Performance Center, have tested positive for COVID-19. I'm going to bring the energy down a little bit, and I'm going to be very careful about what I say next. Whoever it is, I hope they get the fuck out of there. I hope they get isolated. I hope they get treated. I hope they get better. This does tune into the whole should wrestling be happening at all conversation, and I still, to this day, I'm thankful for the distraction, such as it is. I still will not come up here to you guys and say that 100% WWE should be doing what they're doing right now. I will say, because they own the building, and they have you know, ownership of that building, and they have sort of created their own bubble, they should, in theory, be the most armed and capable and prepared and all that sort of thing to put on a show completely safely. But that's clearly not the case because they have more outbreaks of COVID. So to whoever it is, they're obviously not going to drop names because that's private medical information and all that sort of thing. But whoever it is, I just hope they're good. I just hope they're okay. I hope that the wrestling fans as a whole, who would already be shitting on WWE just because they think the show's bad, don't put this as another bullet in their gun for the show. Now, if you want to be critical simply about how they're handling their safety, that's cool. If you're happy to hear this because it's one more thing you can use to shit on WWE, then you're just as shitty as they are. That's my really complicated opinion on WWE shows during the COVID era. But then, of course, you also have to say that about AEW, and apparently Impact is putting on shows, and it has to be a one-size-fits-all take. Whatever your take is, and I'm pretty open about the fact that I don't quite know what to think. Because if there was no wrestling, I wouldn't be talking to you guys nearly as much, that's for one thing. But wrestling, as it is for a lot of people, wrestling is one of those things that's an escape for me. So I don't know what I would do if there was just no wrestling right now. Now, that does not supersede the health and well-being of the wrestlers, the superstars, the referees, the personnel, etc. But I cannot sit up here and tell you that I am not thankful for the distraction. So I got a really complicated take on it. All I will say to you guys is whatever your take is on it, apply it fairly, apply it evenly to everybody across the board, or else you shoot your own point in the foot. You come off as a biased dickhead who's either an AEW dick rider or a WWE dick rider or an Impact dick rider or whoever else. I don't think ROH is doing anything right now. Japan, I've heard people start talking about Japan again. Are they doing stuff? Tell me down in the comment section below. Anyways, coming back from the commercial break after that long rant and tangent that was probably unnecessary. Corner clothesline by Escobar and a boot in the corner, and the boot kicks to the midsection, flying elbow by Escobar. Daniel Bryan silly kicks from Santos Escobar. So Daniel Bryan silly kicks. I don't even know what I was doing there. Seated abdominal stretch and shots to the ribs by Escobar. Both men trade some shots. There's a scoop slam moonsault combination by Atlas. Drop kick by Atlas and an inside out moonsault to the outside on Wild and Mendoza to take them out. But when he gets back in, Escobar not only sets him up for the Phantom Driver, but while he's got him in midair, hits him with a nice little cheap knee shot, and then hits the Phantom Driver, which is really, really good. We kick to the back, or I should say the back. We kick to somewhere else, and there's more Undisputed Era P. That's my pun for the evening. It's him talking to his shrink, talking about the fear of the trunk, talking about how he's overcome his fear of the trunk, and then Kyle O'Reilly takes off the therapist gimmick, and they make a big thing of, oh my god, it was Kyle O'Reilly all along. That's fine, that's wonderful. They put him in a trunk, they take him out of the trunk, they put him in the trunk again, they take him out of the trunk again, and Adam Cole says, hey, you're ready to face Dexter Lumis tonight. We're going to get to some better shit later on in the night from the Undisputed Era, and I like the Undisputed Era because they're absolutely ridiculous. I like, in general, this sort of horror movie vibe that exists between Dexter Lumis and Roderick Strong specifically, because I think Roderick Strong is making it work. But the trunk stuff and the Undisputed Era P stuff, I get it. Trust me, I love the Undisputed Era. I really do, and I see what they're going for here, and I can definitely tell that they're having fun, which is another thing that I like to drill home. Wrestling's always a little bit better when you can tell the people doing it are having a good time. I get what they're going for here, and it's this really, really sort of campy banter type comedy. I respect the effort. For me, personally, it doesn't hit. It's not terrible. It's not, switch over the TV worthy. It's not going to suddenly make me watch Dynamite live. But it doesn't quite hit for me. If they can go more into what they did later on tonight, I'd be really cool with that, because Strong's really good at it. Adam Cole as sort of like the instigator is really good at it. Dexter Lumis is Michael Myers without the mask. It's fine. He's nowhere near the title scene, which we're going to talk about later on. It all works. And I want it to continue. I want the Roderick Strong Dexter Lumis thing to continue. I just think this little bit of it doesn't hit for me. I guarantee you there are other people out there who disagree with me, and there are other people who this type of wink wink nudge nudge thing that they're doing and Kyle O'Reilly is doing, it works for them. And I'm not going to take it away that it works for you. If it works for you and you're entertained by this, absolutely. And as I say, I can see what they're going for. It just doesn't quite hit for me. You know what else doesn't hit for me? Michael Bivens in the back talking crap with his wrestlers that are big, and they're calling out Lorcan and Birch, which means that once again, Lorcan and Birch are going to be jobbed out to this next new group that's trying to look good, and that's a bummer because I want to see Lorcan and Birch featured prominently. I don't want to see them getting jobbed to the people that they're trying to feature prominently that I don't give a shit about. I don't know. I didn't give a shit about Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair annoyed me. They moved her to the main roster. That's fine. I didn't give a shit about the Forgotten Sons. I tried. Now they're on the main roster, and Jackson Riker got swallowed up by the internet. It's fine. You know, Problematic Dream is off my TV right now. I still got to put up with Cameron Grimes. This ain't it. I like Malcolm Bivens. I can speak. I swear. I like Malcolm Bivens better than I like the guys that he's managing, and that's a problem. That's like some Alexa Bliss, Blake and Murphy shit. Obviously not for the same reasons. It's fine. We got a hype package for tonight's main event, which is good. I don't really need to go through it. You guys know NXT is an extension of WWE. WWE is never going to be touched in their video production department unless your name is Darby Allin. It's fine. Here's a cool thing. Here's something that's really been kicking off since TakeOver, and I really like it. Two things happening simultaneously here. We're getting a really strong women's mid-card in NXT, and we're really starting to put together a women's tag team division in NXT. There's only a couple, because those titles have to swap around all three brands, but I mean, anything at this point is better than Sasha Banks and Bayley. So what do we got? We got Kacy Catanzaro and Kaden Carter, who are the KC Squad, or the KC Express, something like that, according to Mauro Ranallo. We don't need to do that. It's fine. And they're taking on Kai and Gonzalez. This is... I don't know what to say about this match, honestly, because I like everybody in here. And I do like... and I've pooped on her a little bit. Gonzalez is good in her role. But I love Catanzaro. I love Carter. I love them as a team. This you know... they're smaller, energetic, gymnastic as fuck teams, and I mean, look at Catanzaro. Ricochet is a lucky man. Moving on. And I mean that with respect. Don't go hashtagging me. It's fine. It's good. Catanzaro and Carter are an awesome team. Kai and Gonzalez are doing sort of the Shawn Michaels Diesel thing, but this really was, hey, three smaller women and a giant. And the Giant got the win for her team, and it was defeating because the most prominent person in the match was the person I care the least about. I would love to see Reina Gonzalez, or Raquel Gonzalez is what they're calling her now. I would like to see her against somebody her own size, and that's not a body shaming thing, and that's not an image thing, but you can tell this is the safe version of the Nia Jax scenario, where Nia Jax basically obliterates everybody, and one of the reasons she obliterates everybody and hurts people and puts them on the shelf and injures them, which is why she shouldn't be on the show, is because she's so much bigger than everybody else. Gonzalez here is the opposite of that. She doesn't look like she's hurting anybody. I haven't heard anything about her hurting anybody. If I'm wrong, please put it down in the box below. But because she's so big and because everybody else is so small, she is really obvious with, you know, putting them down carefully. And I'm not saying I want to see anybody get hurt, by God, but I want to see Reina Gonzalez, or Raquel Gonzalez, go up against somebody like Rhea Ripley, go up against somebody like Mercedes Martinez, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. Somebody who can sort of square up to her so she doesn't have to do that, because I'm sure she can do a lot of really cool shit. But if they've got her tag teamed up with Dakota Kai, and Dakota Kai is facing off with a lot of people the same size as her, you're going to get this situation where she's either going to look really dangerous, or she's going to have to work really safe, and neither one... I mean, first and foremost, don't work dangerously, Nia Jax, looking at you. But obviously I'm not saying she should work dangerously, but the fact that she has to not only be safe but look safe with the smaller women on the roster, I'm just curious as to what she can do with somebody of her type. I hope we get that, because somebody like a Rhea Ripley or a veteran like Mercedes Martinez, who again we're going to talk about later on, whatever she's got in her, they could bring it out of her, and I want to see that. And plus, you know, eventually when there's a team like this where there's the star and the backup, there is going to be a breakup, and I don't mind them breaking up that team of Kai and Gonzalez. I'm not particularly excited about a Kai versus Gonzalez match, so that's kind of a bummer. Now you look at the other side where it's just where they are a team and it's not a leader and a follower. Catanzaro and Carter, I want to see them get a title shot. That shouldn't surprise anybody. I wish that things had gone a little bit differently for Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart, my girl, but they didn't. Catanzaro and Carter are, as I say, ridiculously athletic and are able to do things that nobody should be able to do, and they lost for reasons, and they lost to Gonzalez with Dakota Kai basically coming in at the end to lock on her weird, like, it's almost like an inverted Rings of Saturn. I don't know what they're calling it. It's fine. Dakota Kai, after the match, off camera, on camera, says to Io Shirai that she needs to watch out because the title is in her crosshairs, which means hopefully we're going to get Dakota Kai versus Io Shirai, and I am all the way for that. Karrion Kross versus Bronson Reed. I like Bronson Reed. Here's a common thing that we're going to have for tonight. People that I like really looked good tonight, and except for Cameron Grimes, who did not need to beat Damian Priest. But we don't need to go back to that. It's fine. We've moved on. We got that out of the way. First part of the show. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Karrion Kross versus Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed called out Karrion Kross last week, and we all thought the same thing. You're gonna die. And why did he do it? He did it because Karrion Kross took him out a couple weeks previous to make a point to Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa has now been taken off the shelf because Karrion Kross destroyed him, and we haven't seen him since. So, yeah, sure, Bronson Reed has a chance. But they didn't totally kill him, which is also good. We start off with forearms by Reed and knockdown. The intensity from Karrion Kross before the bell even rings, basically screaming in his face across the ring, "You asked for this, you wanted this, let's do it," type thing. And I mean, Scarlett is hot. And I'm saying that from a distance. Please don't hashtag me. It's okay. I just think she's a very attractive woman, and there's nothing else. No hashtags required. It's fine. Forearms by Reed and a knockdown. There's a right hand, a boot, and a right hand again by Kross. T-bone exploder suplex by Kross on a guy the size of Bronson Reed. I'm having some fun with that, but like, fuck me, I gotta be careful what I say now because I'm not popular on YouTube, so somebody's gonna do something. T-bone exploder suplex by Kross was impressive as hell because look at the size of Bronson Reed, it's good. More shots and an enziguri by Reed. Both men trade some shots. There's a body avalanche by Reed in one corner, and then there's a body avalanche by Reed in the other corner, which is good. Northern Lights suplex and a lariat by Kross. A Doomsday Saito and a cross jacket gets the win. Now, don't get me wrong. This was a really short match with an obvious conclusion, but I will still say that Bronson Reed did a couple of things here. He lasted longer in the match than I thought. They let him last longer in the match, I should say, than I thought they were going to. But he also broke out of, like... He's not a comedy guy, but he is definitely still in that... I'm a new guy, I'm low guy on the totem pole, I might get a win here and there, I'm not really going to ruffle any feathers, and it is in the realm of that, like, I'm just happy to be here thing. He broke out of that tonight. There was some intensity from Bronson Reed tonight. I would love to see, like, the monster Bronson Reed come out. Everything's good. I mean, Karrion Kross is clearly gonna be in the world title picture soon, so he's not gonna lose to Bronson Reed, who is the new guy, who is still kind of happy to be here. But Bronson Reed sort of broke out of his shell tonight in this very small little bit of time that they gave him, which is good. In the back, Adam Cole gets asked about tonight's main event and who he'd rather face and whatever, and he goes on a little bit of a monologue about how a regular, normal person or a logical person would say, I want whoever's the weakest coming out of this match. I want whoever I think I can beat, whoever I think I have an advantage over, whatever. The honest answer is, I don't care. And that was a stupid question. I love Adam Cole. It's good. We see another video package highlighting the aspects of Mercedes Martinez. I was hoping it was going to give us a date so that I could say, hey, Mercedes Martinez is debuting in 2 weeks or whatever, but they just did the ominous, very, very NXT coming soon, which is fine. Rhea Ripley versus Aaliyah was a thing. I very much like Karrion Kross and Bronson Reed, you're like, Aaliyah's gonna die. It's fine. Gut wrench toss by Ripley to start the match. There's a drop kick. There's a hangman by Aaliyah to get the little bit of an advantage. I can speak. I swear, it's very tired in here. So words are just going to come out that don't really exist. Gut shot by Aaliyah, a hard Irish whip and some lariats by Ripley, a series of knee strikes and a low drop kick by Ripley, a boot by Ripley in the standing figure 4. She's going to win with the standing figure 4, except Robert Stone throws his fucking shoe in the ring. It's kind of funny because like the 1 or 2 times that Aaliyah actually got some offense in, Robert Stone was on the outside basically shouting stuff like, see, look what I'm doing for her, I could do it for you too. And then Ripley like kills her, which is fine. Stone throws the shoe. And they do the obvious, who throws a shoe thing on commentary, and I roll my eyes, and we all roll our eyes, and we move on. Ripley drops Aaliyah like she's the secondary thought, and sort of tosses, what's his name, Robert Stone around for a little bit, comes back in. You think she's going to get the upset victory by Aaliyah because, you know, she stole one. They didn't even do that. Ripley just comes back into the ring, picks up Aaliyah right where she left her, hits her with the Riptide. It's fine. And Ripley is a killer. And Ripley, I like Aaliyah. This is going to be cut and paste from the Karrion Kross thing. I like Aaliyah. I think they should do more with Aaliyah. Aaliyah's my hometown girl. I've liked her for a long time. I've come slowly to the conclusion that I don't think they're going to do much with her, which is really sad. But she shouldn't be beating Rhea Ripley, should she? But yeah, it was kind of funny because she had her in the standing figure 4. It's called something else, but standing figure 4 is what it is. They did the shoe thing. They did the Robert Stone thing. She comes back in, picks up Aaliyah, as I said, right where she left her. Quick Riptide, fuck off. Match is over. It's all good. Dexter Lumis versus Roderick Strong doesn't happen because Roderick Strong just does a really good job of looking scared, and Dexter Lumis does a job of being scary. Roderick Strong is in such a hurry to try and leave the ringside area that he forgets that there's plexiglass and runs into the plexiglass. I'm not gonna lie, I popped a lot at that. And then he ran out of the building, leaving his buddy Bobby Fish at ringside, and he gets choked out for reasons, and then Fish runs away too, and Dexter Lumis is scary, and it's fine. I do have a question for anybody that has followed Dexter Lumis before he got to NXT. He has a lot of tattoos on. I mean, I've got a tattoo and a tattoo. He's got a lot of tattoos on his arms that look like they've been blacked out, or like that he's just gone over them, or something like that. Is there a story to that, or am I making this up in my head? Not the point, though. The point that I love. The point that I love is all the announcements for next week. And I'm going to go a little bit out of order because we had another announcement during one of the commercial breaks in the middle of the main event, but I'm going to do it here because it applies here. AEW, for the next 2 weeks, after this week, because they're having their go-home show tonight too, AEW are doing a pay-per-view the next 2 Wednesdays. Now, they've been winning the Wednesday Night War, as much as that makes me throw up in my mouth a little, because reasons. They're doing a pay-per-view over the next 2 Wednesdays as a... If I was going to be cocky, I would say it's because they know NXT's catching up, and eventually NXT will beat them in the ratings. I can't prove that. That's just my opinion. The gap is getting smaller. So when they announced that they were doing Fyter Fest over the next 2 Wednesdays, my reaction was kind of cynical. It was, and I'll admit that, because when NXT just plans a really, really good week of NXT. The December 18th episode last year with Cole and Balor and Ripley and Baszler is the prime example. And the accusation levied from everybody was, oh, they're just trying to make every Wednesday a takeover. And it's like, first of all, why wouldn't you make good stuff on your show? My reaction at the time, you guys can go back in the videos and check, was the example of, oh, they're just putting that on the show so you'll watch it, which is exactly the point. It didn't mean that they were trying to make every Wednesday a takeover, but AEW legitimately are putting a pay-per-view on Wednesday to just maybe try to slow down that stopgap, which is fine. They are allowed to do that. It is their company. And then when you get the background of this Fyter Fest was supposed to take place over in the UK, obviously it can't now because of the COVID situation, the coronavirus or whatever. My sympathy builds. My sympathy builds, A, for the fans over in the UK that would have loved that. B, for AEW, which is a relatively new company that would love to expand to the point where they can have an international show somewhere else. Because, I mean, I don't doubt the fact that they could do that, but it would be their first one, and that would be a growth thing for them. And I do want to see them. I don't hate AEW, which is what nobody seems to understand. I just prefer NXT because NXT is the brand that I like. There's a reason there's a flag sitting somewhere back there on my wall. So I started hearing about how it was supposed to happen in the UK, and it can't happen in the UK because of the current global situation, and it's all good. But I hear the same people that made that old, NXT is just trying to make every Wednesday a takeover, talking about what a great idea it is to put a pay-per-view on the Wednesdays, and I thought that's very, very, very interesting. And then we find out tonight that next week, NXT presents the Great American Bash. And I guarantee you there are people out there, from Michael Sidgwick of What Culture all the way down, the ones that have Mr. Rhodes' cock firmly right here, that are going to say, oh, that's just a desperation move to win the Wednesday Night War, when it's literally what they're doing as well. This is actually, I will be genuinely interested in this, because titling their Wednesday night show, their episodes of Dynamite Fyter Fest, is wallpaper. It is. My comments about them having a takeover or a pay-per-view on Wednesday nights aren't actually true. They're just putting up a different bit of wallpaper over their Wednesday night show. It's the same as when they did Bash at the Beach. Now, Bash at the Beach had the added benefit of being on the boat, which was admittedly kind of cool, even though Britt Baker had that terrible promo and everybody's hair was in their face. But it's all NXT's doing too. And I cannot wait, like I say, from Sidgwick all the way down, for all the AEW dick riders to talk about what a desperate move this is, and Vince McMahon is really scared and Triple H is really scared. Look, they had to put a pay-per-view on Wednesday, when we've known for at least a month and a bit that AEW was doing the same thing. Next week, NXT presents the Great American Bash. You know why? You know why? You know why? And I can say this because I'm from Canada, because America. That's fucking brilliant. I don't even care. I'm not American, and I will gladly soak in the fake Americana of a pre-taped wrestling show that happens to have American in the title. Because look at what we're getting next week. We are getting Dexter Lumis versus Roderick Strong in a strap match. For reasons. We are getting Rhea Ripley in an intergender handicap match against Aaliyah and Robert Stone, after we saw Robert Stone talking to William Regal over the Skype machine or whatever. And all kidding aside, we have a number one contender fatal four-way match for the women's championship between Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, Mia Yim, and Candice LeRae. Now, overlooking the fact that they seem to have intentionally left my girl Shotzi out again, that's going to be fantastic. And that's going to be good. That's going to be really, really, really fucking good. The Great American Bash. NXT presents the Great American... They're not even calling it TakeOver. They're just... The logos, if you saw when they made the announcement, the logos were just side by side. You had the NXT logo and you had the Great American Bash logo. And it's not even... And somebody said it on Twitter. It's not even like Vince McMahon's The Bash. Like, they're actually bringing back the Great American Bash. Because, I mean, if other companies can resurrect Bash at the Beach... why not? I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So next week I'm going to have a gander at NXT presents the Great American Bash. And we're going to get intergender handicap matches, and we're going to get strap matches, and we're going to get an awesome four-way women's match for the number one contendership. And that will wet our whistles for the following week, where Adam Cole defends his NXT championship in a winner-takes-all match against the winner of this match. Our main event for the evening, Gargano versus Lee versus BALOR for not only the North American Championship, but the chance to face Adam Cole in 2 weeks in the winner-take-all match for the North American and NXT Championships. Now, going into this, there's 2 commercial breaks in this match. which is fine. Gargano bails to start the match. Balor and Lee, they do a collar and elbow tie. Lee tosses Gargano. Lee knocks down both men as we go to commercial break. Hard Irish whip by Gargano and a Grizzly Magnum to Balor. Backpack sleep. Okay, the story of this match is the backpack sleeper. Oh yes. Backpack sleeper by Balor on Lee, then one by Gargano on Lee, then another one by Balor on Lee that takes him down to one knee. That almost rhymed. Backdrop in the corner by Lee, forearm shots by Balor. Lee hits a double backdrop on Balor and Gargano, which is really nice. Body shots by Lee, a chop block by Gargano, a backpack sleeper by Balor. Again, Gargano tries to work the leg. Sling blade on the floor by Balor, cannonball on the floor by Gargano. Gargano and Balor toss Lee into the steps because he's so much bigger and they're just tiny, tiny little men, and it's fine. We go to the second commercial break, which is where they made the Great American Bash announcement, and I laughed about everything that we just laughed about. Balor and Gargano, they trade some chops. There's a slingshot spear by Gargano, a twisting DDT by Balor, followed by a sling blade. Corner bomb by Lee, crossbody onto Gargano and Balor by Lee, over the top rope, which is fine, and they oversell it on commentary as a guy that big shouldn't be able to do that, except he's been doing that since he got here, so eventually you acting surprised kind of makes you look a bit dumb. Moving on. Where did I go? Another backpack sleeper by Balor, because that's the story of the match. Super kick by Gargano, one final beat by Gargano, tornado DDT and a suicide dive. Lee pounces on both men. This was pretty cool. Balor and Gargano had a throwback spot to Balor doing the inverted DDT, the 1916, on the rampway, like he did when he first turned heel. But Lee saw that and said, fuck that, and just pounced both of them, which is wonderful. Super kick to both men by Gargano, shotgun dropkick by Balor, buckle bomb onto Gargano, onto Balor by Lee, Big Bang Catastrophe, one for each man, and, Keith Lee, Big Bang Catastrophe, one for each of his opponents. Lee gets the win, which is fine, I guess. I wanted to see a rematch with Balor, because we never got that match properly, because the last one ended in a little bit of nonsense. Keith Lee versus Adam Cole is going to get people's attention. Keith Lee versus Adam Cole is probably going to be the match that makes more people happy. WWE is not always clearly, relying on making me happy, because they do a lot of things that don't make me happy, like not including Shotzi Blackheart in that Fatal 4-Way match we're getting next week at the Great American Bash. But I can't deny it'll be good. I like Keith Lee. I have to explain myself away all the time. The fact that I wanted Balor to win this match does not mean I don't like Keith Lee. You guys know how much I like Johnny Gargano, but I wasn't necessarily pulling for him in this match because we've seen Gargano versus Cole a lot more than we've seen Balor versus Cole. And I don't know when was the last time we saw Keith Lee versus Adam Cole. I really don't know. So the graphic comes up. In 2 weeks, we're getting Lee versus Cole. Now, that's not happening at a pay-per-view. That's happening in 2 weeks at a regular episode of NXT. Jesus Christ. But next week is the Great American Bash. Don't even worry about it. Cole comes down. They have the prototypical NXT, we're going to have a match soon, stare down. One lifted the belt and the other one lifted the belt. They did the Cena Punk thing. It's fine. And we signed off. And this was really, really good. Now, I'm a sarcastic asshole. That's a thing. I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm sort of not being very secretive about my opinions on certain things that are going on in the world right now, because I think there's a lot of nuance being missed in a lot of the issues hitting the real world right now. But I do want to say, once again, my opinions aside, my frustrations aside, with the real world, don't let it take away from the fact that genuinely, first of all, genuinely, I'm happy and thankful that you guys feel like coming and spending your time with me on a Wednesday review, talking about movies, talking about pay-per-views, seeing what I'm doing, seeing what me and my co-hosts are doing, etc. If we don't agree, that's fine. If we don't agree, that's fine. If we don't agree and you still take the time out of your day to watch what I'm doing or listen to what I'm doing in an audio form with the Spaz Phoenix podcast, you could disagree with absolutely every single thing that I say, and I still appreciate you guys lending me some of your time. And whether or not we agree or disagree with what's going on in the current world does not change the fact that I hope everybody within the sound of my voice and within the sight of my face knows that I hope you're all okay. I hope nobody's hurting. I hope nobody's sick, upset, being mistreated, etc. We're very much still in the shitty times, and I cannot say enough thank you to you guys, because there's a lot of other things you could be doing right now than listen to some jackass in Toronto talking about wrestling. So if I'm able to be your guys' escape for that, that's awesome. That really does, like, just set my heart on fire if I want to be corny about it. Also, I do thank you guys for the attention, because obviously I wouldn't be here if I didn't want people listening, watching, etc. And just know that I hope you guys are all doing okay. And if you're not, have a rant in the comment section. Have a rant in the chat if you're watching me live right now. As I said, come at it on Twitter at SpazPhoenix1, Instagram at SpazPhoenix. Find the Spaz Phoenix podcast group on Facebook, whatever. We're coming through to the other side. If you want a slight little harbinger of maybe the world's not completely falling apart, I went and got a haircut today, and my phone's ringing. So that's about it. Thanks for joining me. We were talking about NXT a second ago, so I will say those are my thoughts on NXT. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.